Hey everybody, Objectively Dan here. And one of the most annoying things I have to talk about is biblical slavery. Biblical slavery, which is often justified by certain interpretations, is a deeply disturbing and fundamentally wrong practice, and also annoying when people bring it up because it's often framed as a system of servitude in ancient times, but the reality is much darker. Slavery, whether in the Bible or throughout history, strips individuals of their dignity, freedom, and basic humanity. The Bible may have existed in a time when such horrors were common, but that does not mean we should ignore or justify them now. Human beings are not property, and and any form of slavery, biblical or otherwise, is an abuse of power that we should unequivocally reject. There is no excuse, past or present, for treating people as commodities. And if you disagree with me, you should call in because the show is starting right now. Welcome, everybody. I'm Objectively Dan. This is another episode of Truth Wanted, the live call-in show that happens every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time. We talk to people about what they believe and why. And I am always perfect in my intros all the time. Never make any mistakes. Even when I tell the crew, hey, I don't need to practice it, and then I mess up anyway. I'm infallible in that degree. If you'd like to call us, you certainly should. We are a live call-in show. The number is 512-991-9242, or you can call through your computer at tiny.cc/calltw. And Truth Wanted is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. And every single week, folks, I always try to have a special guest with me. This week is no different. I have Thinker joining me today on the show. Thinker, welcome to Truth Wanted.
Hey, Dan, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here too, and we're going to talk to you more in just a second. But first, before we do, we have our We Want the Truth segment every single week, guys. I'm asking you a question or a prompt, and I want to know your answer. The prompt for this last week was name the strangest widely held unskeptical belief. And here are our top three answers for that. Number 3 comes from Miranda Rensberger, who said, strangest unskeptical belief, people think schools are putting in litter boxes for the furry kids. Have you heard of this, Thinker? I definitely have.
No, I've never heard of that. Where is this happening?
This is a thing that got passed around on like conservative Facebook groups, and even Joe Rogan talked about it like it was a thing. It is not a thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's a lot of schools are trying to be more accommodating, obviously, to like trans youth and stuff. And so people are making up these wild things that, now they're being accommodating to furries. So they need to put litter boxes.
And people believe it.
Yeah. And of course people believe it because everything on the internet is true. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, not great. But Miranda, thanks for that one. That's definitely a strange one. Number 2 comes from Alexander KTN, who says the strangest widely held belief is karma. It's almost never the people who cause a problem that suffer the most from it. So if there is karma, it certainly doesn't have great aim. And yeah, it just it's kind of true. It's like the worst people I know have like great lives, relatively speaking, for them, right?
Yeah. But it was set up that way.
Yeah, I guess so. It's all part of the plan for but number 1 comment comes from the MS Zucks, who says the strangest widely held belief is that the rainbow has 7 colors. Indigo is BS, and we all know it. Okay, so this is an interesting one because like I remember being a kid and being confused because, you're learning about colors and stuff and you're learning about your rainbow. And it seemed like there were 2 different versions of the rainbow, one where they just kind of skip the indigo and one where it's not there. So I don't know. I don't know
what you're talking about. I've never seen a rainbow with indigo.
Really? You never seen that? Okay. Maybe that's just I don't know, a cultural.
No, I'm just BSing with you.
Okay. So you got me. Yeah. I don't know. They're taking away the indigo in our rainbows, I feel like that's like an Alex Jones kind of talking thing. The government's taking away our indigo. I don't know. But yeah, that is definitely a strange one, folks. Thanks to all of you guys for giving your answers. The prompt for this week, excuse me, I'm all over the place today. It's what do you want to hear about the other side? What do you most want to hear about the other side? So, if somebody's passed on and they want to tell you about it, what do you want to hear about it? What do you want to know? So in an interesting one this week, and I'll start with you, Thinker. What would you want to know about the other side?
Well, like seriously, because like we talk about this a lot on my live, there's a scripture in the Bible that never mind. I'm gonna stay away from that. Like there's a scripture in the Bible that says that that there would be teeth sucking on the other side.
So like in Revelation?
No, it's in Isaiah 65.
Really? Right? Okay. Yeah. Oh man, Isaiah is a weird book. Hold on, I gotta look that up. Isaiah 65 said there's gonna be teeth sucking in heaven.
Yeah, it says that the Israelites will be sucking on the tits of the Gentiles, and so it's a running joke on my live. And there's a one of my co-hosts she has this thing that says she's gonna have a big slide on the other side, and you're gonna like go to the top of the slide and slide all the way down, and you're gonna.
All right.
So I want to know if the slide is what's the slide on the other side. That's what I want to know.
Thinker says, "Where are the teats?" That's what she wants to know. She says, "Show me the teats," and that's it. So if you can top that, leave a comment below, and we'll see. I don't know if you can, because now I want to know too. I mean, that's. I think a natural curiosity, but very interesting answer to an interesting prompt. I can't wait to see what you guys have, and we'll see what you got for next week. But now it's time for me to talk to you, Thinker. Thinker, who are you, Thinker? What are you doing around these internet parts?
I get on Christians' nerves. On TikTok.
Okay.
To the point where they're damn near hosting lives about me. But hi y'all. No, I deconstruct Christianity because I've been deconstructing for 5 years now. Okay. And so I host a research live where we ask questions and we have conversations, not debates, but like discussions that get heated.
Yeah.
And I might just be calling them discussions to keep people from like focusing on the debate. I don't know. Yeah. But that's what we do. We deconstruct Christianity on TikTok and YouTube.
I'm a fan of the term deconstruction. I consider myself a deconstructed Christian. For those who don't know what that means, what does that word deconstruction mean to you?
Questioning everything, tearing it apart, analyzing it, and putting it back together, or either doing away with it altogether. But mostly getting rid of all the most harmful things and asking, like, is this harmful to me or is this harmful to society? And if it is, chucking it.
Right. So you were a Christian before. Do you don't call yourself a Christian anymore?
No. Yeah. I went through the whole process of knowing that I didn't believe in God anymore, and didn't believe in Jesus, but was not ready to let the idea of Jesus go. And so I would say, I don't call myself a Christian, or I don't identify as a Christian. And so I was a whole Sadakback.
What is that? Sadakback? Wait a minute. Do I not?
A Sadakback Biftage. It's one of the deconstructionists in our community two of them, Joel and Mezzo, created it. When Christians come on our live that don't identify as Christian, but they still hold to Christian values, they'll say, so I don't identify as Christian, but I still follow the teachings of Jesus. So we just took that sentence. They just took that sentence and made it an acronym, Sadakback Biftage.
That's a... Sadak, how many letters is that? That's a lot of letters.
I have no idea, but that's why we just say Sadakback.
I like that.
Yeah, it's in the Urban Dictionary now.
I believe it. I believe it.
We're making it a thing.
That's I feel like I'm not in cool now because like I'm a deconstructed Christian. How come I'm not using cool acronyms for that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to hang with us. Come I do. With us on TikTok. Yeah,
I think I do. So you were a Christian. So you went from being a Christian to somebody who's having these discussions, as you call it, with other folks on live. Tell me about that journey. How did you start from being a believer and then being like, nah, I'm done with this?
Ooh, so my dad was a pastor. So I grew up
Okay,
a
yeah.
PK kid.
That's
My
how it
mom,
happens. That's
yeah,
how it happens, huh?
yeah, yeah. Well, no, I had an amazing father and
Mm,
mother. Like it wasn't them per se. It was one day my like I've always questioned, right? And
mhm.
I've never been the type that would be like, no, he flooded the earth and all the animals were on there and there was no poop and it didn't matter. Like I was
Yeah,
never I
yeah.
was never that type of person, although I did speak in tongues. And
Okay, yeah.
yeah, so that's the thing that I will say, that I did allow myself to get to that point. But one day my brothers and I were talking and he said, man, I think God hate black people.
Mm,
And yeah, and I was like, yep, I think you're right. And so after that conversation, I decided that I wanted to get to know the God that I had been indoctrinated into, like that I had been believing that I was in a relationship with, and try to figure out like what the heck, it's 2 minutes up because I think I don't know.
yeah, no, yeah, you're good.
Oh,
We're
okay.
past the 2 minutes. You can
It's
say fuck, shit,
okay.
goddamn, whatever you need to say. So go for it.
Thank
Yep.
you, because I'm like I'm
Yeah.
trying to hone it
Yeah.
back.
You're holding it for way too long. You're good. You're good.
Okay, so I was like, who the fuck is this God? And so I had always been taught that if we find the name of the God, like the closer we
Mm.
get to the God, he would reveal his name. And so I wanted to know the name of the God. And so I started studying
What was
in
your
a
what was your
way,
denomination? You Pentecostal?
Church of God in Christ. That was
Oh, Church of
COVID.
God. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. Holy
Uh,
Rollers.
yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Please
Yeah.
continue.
Hellfire, brimstone, like
That's right.
every Sunday, if you wear red fingernail polish, you're going to hell type
Hmm. Right.
preaching.
If
And
your skirt's not long enough, you're getting grabbed by
yeah,
the devil by your
yeah,
ankles.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so we were scared to do a lot of shit growing up. But so what was I? Where was I? Where did I
You
leave
said
off?
that God hates black people. I think that was the last thing. And then we got distracted by saying
No,
fuck shit.
yeah,
Goddamn.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what I was saying. I wanted to get to
Yeah.
know his name.
Oh yeah,
And
that's right. The
yeah,
name. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Because I was always taught that if you get close enough, right, and he will reveal his name to you. So I
Hmm.
started studying the Bible in a way that I had never studied it, because usually I would study the scriptures that my dad would preach or my mom would preach, and they give us like passages, right? Because they had chosen passages to preach on a specific thing. So this time I wanted to study all of it. So I started to read it like from and like entire chapters front to back. And then I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can find this event in history. And so I tried to correlate it to history. And I got into archaeology, and then I got into biblical scholarship. Then I found atheism and
Mm.
atheist scholars, and just, went further and further. And the more I learned, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. You
I
didn't
felt
know what you were missing,
right.
right?
Yeah.
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 Mm.
So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so is atheist, is that the label you're comfortable using now
yeah.
to describe yourself?
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
just got comfortable with that probably about
Hmm.
maybe 2-3 months ago. Like,
Really? That's pretty
yeah,
recent.
yeah, yeah.
So you were
Yeah.
just saying, "Oh,
I'm a
I'm
non-believer.
agnostic," or
Uh-uh.
what?
I never went to the agnostic
Yeah.
thing. But I would say I'm a non-believer,
Mhm.
or I'm a pragmatic atheist.
Sure.
Yeah, because like to me, I don't really give a damn if somebody believes in a God if that God isn't fucking up people's lives. Like
Hmm.
if
Okay.
your beliefs,
So problem with that is there's a lot of gods fucking up people's lives.
I've met a lot.
Yeah.
I've met a lot. Like I think
Yeah.
Christians have, like for me, they have different gods. Like they all think that they're worshiping
Yeah,
the same God,
absolutely.
but
Sure.
they have their own version of a God. And I've probably met maybe 5 that, if I were not atheist, I'd be like, I could rock with your Jesus, I could rock
Sure.
with your God. But
Sure.
most of the time, they have very harmful beliefs in the conversations that I've had, and I've had a lot of conversations with Christians. And so like I always let them know, like it's the belief that you hold that I attack in my conversations, not you as a person, not the fact
Sure.
that you feel the need to have this higher power. And hopefully by the time we finish having a conversation, you no longer feel the need, right, to have this higher
Yeah.
power. But that's not my main concern
Oh,
when I talk to
so
believers.
What is your goal when you're having these discussions? Are you interested? Are you saying, hey, I want to strip you of your God belief, or is it more just like giving people a place to like what's your mission with that?
Giving them a place to feel comfortable to
Yeah.
use critical thinking.
Okay.
And when you use critical thinking, 9 times out of 10, you end up going to that path of, realizing that this is all bullshit.
Hmm.
And so like, I don't want to be it's not my place to, I don't feel like it is, right? Like my place to say, you shouldn't believe in a God. But I will say, you shouldn't fucking believe that slavery is okay. Your God
Yeah.
said slavery is
Yeah.
okay, Yeah.
Yeah. So it's on that topic, because you brought this up earlier, and a lot of folks that I've talked to in this space, former Black folks who formerly Christian, kind of come to this realization as well, where it's like, hey, Christianity has never been kind to Black people, like ever. If anything, it is like been an institution as to to their oppression in a way, right? It's like it doesn't in the times that people have been liberated by it. It's because they're liberating it from the other Christians that's been holding them back in some way, right?
Yeah. Well, Christianity, during the time of slavery, it served a purpose for our ancestors who were enslaved. And then during Jim Crow, like the being able to meet in the churches and our own spaces, so that we could mobilize and plan for abolitionist movements and civil rights movements. So it gave motivation, right, during a time. It's not that anymore, right? Like now the thing that used to give our ancestors with a place to critically think so that they could fight back for themselves, right, and get out of oppression. The leaders in this space have now joined the oppressor and have started to oppress even their own people. And so like 97% of Black households in America are Christian or are religious. And like sometimes like on my live, I talk about the stats, when it correlates to like where we are in society, or right, like economically, right, educational wise, and what's the correlation to that? Because we are the highest, and I'm like, it's got to be the fact that there's more attention being put towards this God, being obedient to the God, loyal to the God, living the way the God wants you to live, going to church, praying, fasting, and not right going like when I was younger. I'm a very ambitious person, and I've had dreams since I was young. But I remember being on the altar and, in my ear, being whispered in my ear, whatsoever profits a man, that he gains the whole world and loses all. Because they knew that I wanted to be a singer, right? And they were trying to tell me that's for the world, that's not for you. And so whispering in my ear over and over and over again, whatsoever profit a man that he gains the whole world, that he loses soul, whatsoever profit a man, like to tell me, you focus on what God wants for you. Don't go after the things of the world. And then, scriptures like, what's the one about, when I tell you I have deconstructed limited beliefs, what's the one about the money? The root of the love of money is the root of all evil.
Oh, that's Proverbs, I think.
Is it Proverbs?
So. Yeah, I think so.
So like that, like stuff like that being taught to us, like I had to like deconstruct those limited beliefs to the point to where like I used to be afraid of money, like thinking that I had to be overly grateful, when I received money and things like that. And so I think there is a correlation with the stats that we see in the high religiosity rates in our community. And I just don't see enough of us deconstructing just yet. Not a high enough number that I would like to see.
Yeah, no, there's definitely an economic correlation between religiosity and level of income, right? And that's not just in the US. That seems to be like worldwide, seems to be a trend, which is pretty interesting. It could be interpreted a lot of different ways, right? I mean, one interpretation might say, well, spirituality and religion gives people a sense of peace or comfort, or a need when they don't have access to the things that they could have, like good health care, for example, right? So, or, you know, and you talked about this earlier, where spiritual sort of communities are very much not just the center of people's lives, right, where they go and they meet their family and friends, but also serve as ways for people to get resources and to access things. If you need money from somebody, if you need help or taking care of somebody's kids, like that's where that community comes from. Whereas if you're more affluent, you may not need, you pay for these kinds of services, right? So there's a couple different interpretations of that are pretty interesting.
But I think what we see now with a lot of, from what I hear, let me say this, because they'll say she said a fact. From what from what I hear from people who are deconstructing, when people go to the church nowadays, after they have paid tithes, after they had given to the benevolence fund, and it's time for them to be able to take, you know, get some type of return on their investment and get help when they need it, they can't. Like they come up empty, and so the Jesus's healthcare plan isn't working. So like people need to be able to pay for their own, like actually have healthcare, even if they are going to believe in God. Like they need to be able to pay for that, because telling people to pray, you know, for peace or for healing. I mean, his policies just have lapsed.
What coverage options aren't great.
Like
under the prayer plan,
they don't pay out well.
They don't pay out well. You get denied a lot under that plan. No, that's a good way to think about it, I think. It's interesting because I've also felt more, and I think you kind of alluded to this, but the more. So I've been out, well, let's see. Was it 2017, 2016? I think I came out as atheist, so a little longer than you. But like the more I've grown independent in my finances or just life in general, right, the more comfortable I can feel standing out in a community as well. Because when I left the church, that was my friends. That was pretty much everybody I know. And the ones who stuck around are very few, but those I found out were my real friends, because they actually cared about me. And then there were some I realized, oh, they just stuck around because I went to the same church, and it wasn't really much deeper than that. Did you have that an experience like that?
As I told you, I was a weird one, right? Although my father was a pastor, I'm not the only one in my family that didn't get involved with other people at the church, like other families at the church. I didn't hang out with people at the church. So I did it when I stopped going to church. I didn't necessarily miss a family feeling. So I don't miss church because that's not where I got my community from at all.
Interesting. There must be an extra element there of tension. How's your father feel about it? Do you talk to him about?
Well, my father is deceased.
Oh, sorry about that.
But man, my mom and I, growing up, I was always, Satan, the Lord rebuke you, right? What's wrong with you, Satan? Because I would ask questions or I would challenge certain thoughts, even growing up. So we've always had this tension. There have been moments where, you know, she's been blocked because she doesn't. Well, she does now. She respects it now because boundaries have been set. Not that she's accepted it, if that makes sense, but she respects it because she wants to have a relationship. But it had got to the point where we couldn't have a relationship. We were arguing all the time, saying things, you know, to each other because she wanted me to be Jesus's child and I didn't want to be, and I needed to figure things out, you know, on my own. And so I would say where most people have felt like being ostracized by their church community, I felt that with my mom. And my brother now is the pastor. He took over my dad's church. And sometimes we get into it, but he's, you know, we've been good, but I'm not as close with my family as I used to be when I was in church.
Does he have? Does he ever like make sermons about you, like, "Oh, my sister," you know?
I don't know.
Leaving the past.
I don't know. I've not been to church. Like, and I support them, right? Like I used to work at the church with them. Helped build a food program where, you know, they feed 3,000 kids a day. Build the the websites for the church for free for them. So I still support the church because that's my family. I love them. I don't know if he's probably. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting how you talked about that situation with your mother? I had kind of a similar, not quite as my parents didn't say the devil was in me or whatever, right? But like there is a sort of otherizing that occurs because I think they're so used to talking about non-believers as in this kind of other category.
Yeah.
When suddenly, when it's somebody that you know, it becomes a lot more difficult. And I've gotten a better relationship with my parents now because I think they kind of realize, oh, you can't. I'm one of those people now, so you can't just completely dismiss me or whatever. At least if you want to have a relationship with me, right? So
Yeah.
sounds like that's a good thing that you're at least trying to build that relationship after a tension like that, because sometimes that doesn't happen, right?
Right. You know,
Mm.
some parents will go as far as some parents and some kids, right? I was talking to a guy today who said that if his mom told him that he couldn't worship Jesus, he would have to, excommunicate his mom. So like some people
Wow.
literally make well, Jesus told them to do it. Like
Right.
people literally make the decision to, love God more.
Yeah, it's a very authoritarian way of thinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just I got to do what the boss says, so I'm just following orders. You know,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say not great, right? I would say maybe not.
You know what's so funny though? Like at the end of that conversation,
Mm.
he kept saying, well, he said, in a sense. In a sense, I said, why are you saying in a sense that you love God more than your mom? In a sense, I said, why can't you just say you love God more than your mom? And he kept trying to say, well, because I don't keep all the commandments, and First John says, not if you say you love me and you don't keep my commandments, and you are a liar. So I don't want to be a liar. I said, so um, if I said today, if knowing that you don't keep all the commandments, knowing that you are a liar, if your mama told you not to worship Jesus, would you do it? And he couldn't say no. I said, so you as a liar, even though you don't love Jesus, still choose Jesus over your mom.
Well, yeah. No, it's like where it really matters, right? Yeah, you do love a more, right? Like, yeah, it's
Yeah. I said,
wow.
you can't say it because you know it sounds batshit crazy.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like I think that's because I'm also somebody who obviously there's a call-in show where we talk to folks, right? Like I'm interested in having people tell me about their beliefs because I also think when you actually talk about some of this stuff out loud, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
kind of realize how ridiculous it is. But we're kind of trained, at least growing up in the church, right, to kind of block out certain doubts and to just kind of think in a certain way where we it's very rigid, it's very structural, but
Yeah.
like as soon as you talk about it, you're kind of, it's a house of cards, it just kind of falls apart, right? But some people are scared to do that, but not the folks
Yeah.
who want to talk to us today. We do have a couple of callers who are ready on the line. You want to talk to some folks, Thinker?
Let's go. Let's do
Okay,
it.
cool. We will do that. Before we do, we have to give a shout out to the folks on the Patreon. Thank you to everybody that donates. It's tiny.cc/calltw if you want to donate and become a patron of the show. I want to, of course, thank everybody that donates, but this week's patron of the week that we're going to give a shout out to is coming on the screen in just a second. It's Hugh, just Hugh, nothing else. I don't know how you got Hugh just on Patreon. That's really great. Hugh, thanks so much for that donation, for being a member, actually. And thank you to everybody that donates on the Patreon. You guys are amazing. And with that out of the way, let's get to our first caller of the night. We have Jim, who is wanting to talk to us from Florida. Jim, you are live on Truth Wanted with Objectively Dan and Thinker. How are you doing?
Hey, Dan, Thinker. Happy Friday and V-Day. I can't hear you guys though, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, we're
Hi.
good. We hadn't said anything. Hi, thanks for calling, Jim.
You?
How can we help?
Oh, cool. Well, talk about conversion. I mean, being raised in Greek Orthodox and not speak Greek. It's about standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down, and but I'd like to talk about my quest to date, which has been 20 years in the making. Like I said, I started off as being raised Greek Orthodox. I met the love of my life, who was raised Catholic, had a tough time getting out of that. She later was agnostic. And we decided to spend about a year and a half to find things out for ourselves, and basically spent a year and a half going to different churches, different religions, Eastern, Western philosophies, reading different texts, Gnostic Gospels, Veda,
Okay.
Quran, everything, to find out where we belonged. And after she passed, I came out of that with a place I felt comfortable, which was Unitarian.
Okay.
I spent about 10 years in that umbrella. And the whole time, my mind is just searching and searching. And as I went through that time in my life, I was also kind of struggling with the higher power aspect of it and the acceptance of other faiths, and other people's acceptance of other faiths. Anyways, where I'm at today is a place of unknown. I believe I fall into a agnosticism, which is more of the unknown God. And I understand it might be like, if people ask me today if I have to have a label on myself, I guess I would say I'm an agnostic, but I'm not agnostic. I'm not an agnostic theist, because I believe in a higher power. I just do not believe that man yet understands what that higher power can be or is about.
Okay, let me start with this then. Thank you for telling your story and your life up to this point. First of all, good for you for kind of reaching out and like trying to figure stuff out. That's not something that everybody does. And I think that's very admirable that you're like, hey, I'm going to try this for a minute. I'm going to try this for a minute, just seeing what's out there. I think that's great. But you settled on this idea that you do think that there is a higher power. And I'm curious, what led you to that conclusion?
The conclusion of things such as love and such as emotion, and I don't believe, absolutely. I've shot down man-made religion 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, my thought process is around the unknown of, we don't know. We have no clue what the universe holds. We're one of 10 million. How many? Who knows how many planets, right? So you can fuck off with all that man-made bullshit. Like that's out of the equation, right? So let's get to the core aspect of it. Is like, we don't know what this universe has in store for us. And so, if you want to put a label on things, this is where I'm at. I'm in God 13 down in Zeusville, back in the core belief system 3,000 years ago of there's an unknown God that is a power, that is an unknown power. It might be a pantheistic approach. It might be an energy. It might be something that here, as atheists, you're defining God, and you're going to put do they have this? Do they have that?
Right. I hear you. You don't want to put your stuff into labels. You don't want to put yourself in boxes. I totally get that. Let me hit you with this, and then I want to hear what Thinker has to say. But let me hit you with this, right? So one label that it might be appropriate for myself is using agnostic atheist. What a lot of people don't realize is that most atheists actually, if by popular category of atheists, actually are agnostic atheists. And what people tend to mean by that is that, look, we're not definitively saying that we know for sure that a God isn't out there, right? We don't know if there's a higher power out there. I can't tell you with absolute certainty because I'm not all knowing. I don't know all things, but I don't actively believe in anything, right? I haven't been led to any sort of evidence or argument that seems to lead me to the conclusion that I should believe in that. So that's why the agnostic atheist label is appropriate. What I'm hearing from you is kind of a similar path, but you're saying, hey, I don't know what's out there. There could be a million other things. I've tried all these things, but you're still kind of settling on some stuff. Like I heard you say love is kind of evidence for a God or a reason for a God for you. I'm still hearing that. I think you said emotion is also a reason. So that's curious to me that you still attribute these things. Like I almost wonder, like, could love exist without a higher power, right? Could there be these other kinds of options? But anyway, that's my thoughts. Thank you. Did you wanna...
That was the first question that I asked myself when he said that. Like, I wonder if he think that atheists are not capable of love. But I wanted to ask you, like, what do you need to know what the universe has in store for you for? Like in this 70, 80, 90, hopefully 103 years that, you're here on this earth. Like, do you plan on the universe doing like do you plan on going out of space? Like I'm trying to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
That
no problem. Yeah. Thinker, thank you for interjecting. My goal is to try to influence leaders or influence others to focus on concepts such as a universe or planet and humanity. And so my goal is I first have to understand, like, listen, I've just come across, I've been a listener of you guys for 2 weeks, okay? I came across Christopher Hitchens about a year ago and could not consume enough of that information because this man was freaking amazing. And that led to me. Dawkins, Harris, but Christopher Hitchens is my idol. I get it. He's an atheist. But where that has led me in society right now is I believe that I want to make a contribution. And I want that to be a way that I can try to get these other idiots across the United States or anywhere. I don't know what platform it is that I can have an audience, but I do believe that there is a power out there. I'm sorry, but that's
let's get more direct about that, because I think you Thinker and I were both very curious about this, because you used love, and I'm just using that example. If you have a different example that works better for you, that makes your case, go ahead. But why does love mean there's a higher power?
Dan, listen, or objectively, Dan. Listen, I don't listen. It does not, like I said, I'm agnostic. I do not know what form or fashion that this higher power consists of. You guys do not know.
But you do, though. You said, wait a minute, but what? That's not true, though, right? Because you said there is.
You guys are agnostic atheists. I'm saying you put me on the spot, okay? And I'm like,
yeah. Thinker didn't identify themselves as that way. And just to be clear, that was something I used for myself, which is also, I mean, I prefer atheist actually, as a formally, but let's take a step back here, because you're saying on the one hand, you don't know anything about this God, right? And you're taking a very humble position in a way, which I can respect, right? You're not going to make any definitive claims, but at the same time, you kind of are making a claim, right? Because you are saying, no, there is a higher power. I just can't tell you anything about him. So if you can't tell me anything about it, how do you know there's a higher power? That's where I'm getting stuck at.
And then I'm getting stuck at the why. I still don't understand why. Like, because the question that I asked was like, why do you need to know? Like, do you plan on engaging with this higher power? Like, do you, because I think that's when you say that it's because of love. So why do you need to know? Like, you said something about you wanting to make a difference in the world, right? And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm saying this really, really quickly, and I wanted to hone in on that part. You say, I want to make a difference in the world. Like, you see all the bullshit happening in the world today, and you're like, I have what it takes inside of me, right, to get these idiots to see that that something needs to be different, right? And so, and I'm just going to share my experience. So I started a tech company, right? And when I was talking to one of my investors and mentors, he's like, "Well, how are you doing this? Like, you're going after elephants." And I said, "Because I want to show Black people that, Black people can build billion-dollar tech companies too." And do the mental mindset and everything. He said, why do you need to build a tech company to do that? He said, why don't you just tell them that? Like, why don't you just be that? Right. And so, like, I feel like the God in your scenario is the tech company in mine. Does that make sense? Like, you don't need a God to be something, to make a difference in the world, right? Everything that you feel that you have inside of you, it's because it's you, and it's because that's your personality. It's what you genuinely want to see this world look like. Just fucking be that, and you don't have to assign that to a guy. And if there is one, and then when you get there, he just say, "What's up, dog? You did a good job." I still don't understand the why, especially if there's no expectation of you to engage with him or it. Does that make sense?
Well, no. Well, it doesn't. In the perspective of what I'm sharing with you is that this is an unknown, and you guys don't quite understand this because you guys want this definition that fits in a little box. Just like
no.
Just like
you said it's unknown, right? But why are you
man-made religion?
Hold on. Hold on. You're gonna go back down the same road, right? Hold on. You're gonna go back down the same road. It's unknown. Why are you going nuts or worrying yourself over something you don't know? Like, you don't have an expectation to engage with it, right? And you're saying, oh, because the universe has something in store. I don't know if the universe has something in store for me. It's bigger than me. Oh, okay. If that's the case, you don't know what it is. You have no expectation of engaging with it. I'm not hearing, I'm not hearing why? Like, why would you, if it's unknown?
Okay. So the why is for unification. I'm trying to get a unification of like, unfortunately, where we're at in society, if you got every day, you've got Christians, you got growing populations all over the world trying to focus on just indoctrinate. Listen, I live near Clearwater. I live down the road from a frickin' Scientology building. It's scary. I mean, these people are frickin' scary. But it's a growing faith because what they're doing is they're publicizing and they're marketing their brand. And guess what? Guess what happens is you guys are doing your thing in Austin, which is great. But the fact is that if there's not a unified mission, there's not a vision, there's not an aspect
you want to start a new religion
to challenge. I'm not trying to start a new religion. I'm trying to say there's got to be a unified mission.
But here's the thing. Jim, we have a unified mission at Atheist Community of Austin. We have a mission statement. We read it out every episode. I mean, I know you're just getting started with listening to us, but I think Thinker makes an excellent point here because I'm sure your vibes are great, Jim. Like, if you went to a Unitarian church, you're probably a chill dude, right? And you're seeing a lot of bullshit in the world. I agree with you. But this is where we disagree because I think you sound like the solution is we need to make and I think to Thinker's point, basically a religion that is good. We're just replacing the other religions with a new religion a new higher power that we should all kind of unify around. Whereas Thinker and I are probably like, hey, why just throw the baby, just take it all out. We don't need any of it. right? We can, why not just be humanist about it? Why not just like live to our best potential as human beings and grow and change and love and care for each other just for the way that we are? Why do we need a higher power to justify any of that?
Well, because we do not know. That's the thing. You do not know what this power consists of. You don't know if we.
Right, so why should I care about it? If I don't know anything about it, why should I care?
That's the whole element of where we're. That's why we're all here.
I don't understand. Elaborate.
I mean,
what do you mean?
Why you're. So there, I mean, how many millions have lost their lives in the pursuit of the truth and veritas? So, I mean, listen, I know we can go round and round. Listen, I'm not trying to have you guys persuade me. I'm not trying to persuade you. This is I just call. I'm a first time caller. And
I hear you, Jim.
I was trying to find out like where I fit in. I obviously I know I don't fit in anywhere. But like my aspect of this in my total belief is that we as a planet, as humanity, for the small time that we've been here, we have no clue what this universe holds, and we have no clue what a higher power can be or might be. But I get it that if and I'm not saying this is a burning bush or this is 10 Commandments, all this crap going on, right? It is an energy. It can be an energy. It can be something that we have no idea what it's about. That's the
okay. Well, first of all,
the agnostic.
Let me say this, Jim. I appreciate. First of all, I do appreciate you calling in. I love it when you watch the show and you want to talk to us. That's great. I love that. So let me give my kudos to you for that. And to answer your question, you want to know what you're at? I would say it sounds like you're a deist, right? So a deist is an open enough term that I think would describe, where you're at with that. You see if that term works for you. I don't know, maybe you've probably heard of it before, maybe not. But if you were to ask me, hey, what's a good label for it? That's what first comes to mind. So let me answer your question right off the bat with that. But to continue though, like, so, I appreciate having a reverence for things greater than yourself, right? I often look at the systems that help build nations. I have a very technical job. I think about, wow, look at all the computer systems that even help run my place of work and things around the world. I think there's a sense of that I can look into and be introspective about and gain, again, a reverence towards. And I'm cool with that. But like, I have a reverence towards it because I can see and understand like, oh, there is something better than me. And it's physical, right? There's measurableness to it. If we're just talking about just some vague unknown higher power that even may or may not exist, because I still don't even know what this power is or how it's even interacting with me, how can we unify around that, right? If your whole thing is just, hey, we need to dismantle this stuff and come up with a new vision, I don't even know what the vision is. It's just, if it's just reverence, I just think that there's secular ways you can do that. I don't know if it has to be something so spiritual, but I don't know. Thinker, what do you think?
No, I agree with you 100%. And I think if the purpose of your call today was to get a new label, I think, Dan, objectively, Dan is right that you're most likely, can classify yourself as a deist. But I think that you have bigger fish to fry than, reclassifying yourself and figuring out why it is that you want to spend, the rest of your life trying to chase something that you'll never know.
Well, again, because I'd like to try to
be the next Moses.
Influence. Well, thanks, Thinker. I guess that's not a quite the best
No, that's what it sounds like when you're like, we need
Jim,
to
you seem to
create
take
something new.
You seem to take offense to
Well,
that when Thinker's saying that, but from what I'm hearing though, Jim, is that you want to be a religious influencer. Like it sounds like you want to influence people into your thinking. And by the way, you said I don't want to persuade you, and I don't want you to persuade me. You can persuade us. That's totally fine. That's part of what this show is about, is persuading people, and that's totally cool. And it sounds like you do actually want to persuade people. Like it sounds like you do want to disabuse people of their own beliefs and at least convince them of the truths or at least the benefits of your own. So I don't know why you shy away from that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're not being 100% honest with yourself, and like you might not be comfortable with like you sound like you have a very humble personality, right? And you're like, should I do this? Is this me? Right? Oh no, it's not me. Maybe it's me. Maybe this is my cause. Maybe my purpose. Maybe not. Right? But it does sound like that what you're saying is that you think that there's something new, right? And maybe you have that thing, but it sounds like another religion. Like you want to create another religion.
I don't have anything new. This goes back to the beginning of man, when they look up at the stars.
I'm not talking about new information.
I don't know.
No, I'm not.
I don't
right.
know. Thinker. Why
are you saying my name like that?
And I well, that's all I see on there. Thinker. It says Thinker. I'm sorry. I apologize if I'm not trying this. I'm a first time caller. I'm taking all this information in. I just trying to understand, possibly, like, I get it where you say theist. Okay, great. Yes, I knew that. I
not theist, not theist with TH though. Do you hear, Jim? It's deist, DEIST.
I understand like the concept, but I get like where you guys are coming from, and if I offended you, I apologize. I'm just speaking from the heart. I just wanted to get your guys' perspective on things, and like I said, I think there's many other people out there that agree with me that we have no clue what's out there. And so for us to make that decision one way or the other, either here in man-made religion or in a atheist perspective, is a little bit of a shallow approach, is where I'm at.
Well, Jim, I got to let you go because we're out of time here, but I'm just going to encourage you not to think in such black and white terms, because what I'm hearing there, especially at the end, is a false dichotomy of it has to be this or it has to be the atheist way of thinking. And I think maybe that in of itself is a bit of a shallow way of thinking, to be honest with you. I think that there's other ways you can think about this besides this is the special way that everybody has to follow. And, this is, I don't know, I can't put a label on it, but hey, sincerely, I appreciate you calling in, Jim. I hope to hear from you again. I want to know what's up and where your brain is at next. But until next time, I do have to let you go, and hope to hear from you some other time. So there you go. That was Jim from Florida. Thinker, what did you think about that?
I think, I don't know. I feel like he expected us to. I don't know. He gets offended when I talk, so I'm just gonna. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
No,
like I don't know. Yeah. I feel like he just wasn't ready for the truth. Like he called in. And said that he was asking for our perspective, and then got offended at every thing there.
Yeah, it's like he didn't like our perspective. So why would you ask if you didn't want to know? Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. I feel the same way because, like, I think, I kind of already said it there at the end, right? I think there's a false dichotomy going on. I think this happens, and your experience is even more recent than mine, where when you're deconstructing, right, like you kind of want to see what you can keep, and what you can throw out, mm-hmm. right? How many of us, you used the acronym earlier, I already forgot the acronym. What's that acronym again?
I don't know. What acronym?
You talk about an acronym. You're like,
SADACMAC. The SADACMAC gift hodge.
That is such a crazy Sadak Math Biftaj.
Sadak Mac Biff Todd.
It sounds like it's something, I don't know what that sounds like, but it's beyond my understanding.
It's
That's a
freaking
higher power
cool.
beyond my understanding right there, that acronym. But listen, like that's what it is, right? It's like people who are interested in the truth or interested in exploring ideas, and it's almost like a oh my goodness, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of a the fallacy of when you put too much into something, and
sunken cost fallacy.
Thank you so much. It's a sunk cost fallacy in a way, because obviously Jim's done a lot of work in trying to figure stuff out. And so I think he wants to be able to say, well, look, here's something that I've gained from this, rather than it was all BS from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's kind of a hard pill to swallow. But from our perspective, right, you and me, that is the truth.
That's
right.
The truth.
That, like,
yeah. He's just not willing to accept that. But hopefully he'll call in again.
I want to hear. Yeah, I want to hear Jim's thoughts again, as maybe reflecting on what we've had to say.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. But before we keep going to our next caller, though, I have some exciting news I want to share with you guys. Some of you guys may have heard about this before. We're going to play a clip real quick and tell you about an upcoming event that's happening at the Atheist Community of Austin. Check it out.
Calling all free thinkers. We are excited to announce that the ACA is launching its first ever fundraising campaign, Amplify ACA, in partnership with Amplify Austin. This is your chance to expand our impact by making your voices heard and supporting the shows that you love.
We invite you to join us on March 5th starting at 6 p.m. We're going to be doing a 24-hour fundraising event and camp out live at the Free Thought Library in Austin, Texas. We've got a great show in the works, a whole variety hour with our hosts doing different things, not just taking calls like you're used to, but we're going to have the fun facts and playing some games and lots of different activities. So be sure to join us from that. Again, it's going to be really exciting, and we're looking forward to having as many people involved as we possibly can.
Donating is easy on amplifyatx.org. Just search the word atheist and click the donate button. Follow us on our socials for more information.
And this is important. We want to be able to amplify the voices of reason and compassion worldwide. So we ask you, please, donate on Amplify Austin Day to make a real difference.
Awesome. Thank you guys for that announcement. And yes, mark your calendars. March 5th, we are going to do, for the first time ever, a 24-hour live stream, and part of that will be open to the public in our studio space at the Free Thought Library. So if you're in the Austin area, you can come in person for that. And of course, if you want to watch live online, you can do that on the Atheist Experience channel. So if you are thinking about donating, that's a great time to donate, and let's amplify the ACA together. On that note, I have another announcement, a different announcement than what's happened recently, because as you watched last few weeks, you may have saw that one, but you haven't heard this one, because this is happening for this weekend only. Okay, our sister show, Talk Heathen, has challenged the hosts of Truth Wanted and the Atheist Experience to a super chat challenge, and it is very simple. Whichever show ends up with the highest dollar amount gathered from the super chats during the show wins, and the winner gets to choose what the hosts of the other shows have to do. Now, I have to make a disclaimer that we at Truth Wanted would never want to pressure you with cheap tactics like this, of course. But it is our backup host, Kelly Laughlin's birthday weekend. So you should really contribute to us and make Kelly happy for his birthday. Because if you probably didn't get him a gift this year. Let's be real. You guys weren't thinking about it. This is your chance to make up to Kelly by donating through super chat, and give something to the birthday boy. Can we get Kelly on screen here? And just there he is. Kelly's about to turn 25 this weekend. Okay. Yes. And so we want to celebrate. That's a big milestone in his life. And tell him about that, Kelly.
I'm going to officially be an adult. This
that's
weekend.
right. So, that's right. Yeah. Come on. So come on. Give us something for the super. What's that?
I was about to say it would totally make my birthday so incredibly awesome if we won the Super Challenge.
That's right. But no, we would never use
do it.
cheap tactics. Never use cheap tactics like those other shows. I just want to be clear. But anyway, we do have some super chats, and I need to read some of those to you. And actually, let's read the one that we got earlier. It was from K-Dub, who gave first off, Dan from Canada. We do Dan from Canada first, who gave $6.66 Canadian, of course, and said, I'm not saying it was aliens, but maybe it was an ancient civilization that was so advanced they didn't leave any signs of their presence. Okay, Dan. None of that. All right, we talked about this last week. Okay, we're not falling for that. We did have another super chat from K-Dub who gave $5 and said, it's just not that damn hard. There's no higher power, and we don't need one. Who gives a rat's ass? Damn, I think that was in response to our last caller there.
Yes.
So thanks so much for that super chat. And there you go, guys. So a couple different ways to support the show if you want to donate. And don't let the other hosts bully me and tell me what to do.
Please help Dan out.
Help Kelly out.
Help Kelly out.
Yeah, come on. You can also, become a member. Hit that join button below the video. Get you access to special chants and emojis and all kinds of stuff. So, I'll have a couple different ways to help out. But that's all the announcements I'll do right now. Okay, that's quite a bit. Let's get back to the content that I know you guys are here for. I know that Thinker's here for, because I know you're probably ready for another caller, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
do
see.
it.
Let's see what this is. I don't know about this caller, but I want to take them on anyway, and we'll see. We have Stephen calling from New York with an interesting claim. Stephen, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's going on?
Hey, first of all, happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, basically, in Eastern countries like India and Japan, there are these products that are called things like sparkling silky white, or like glistening pale shimmer, and basically they're skin bleaching products. And I was wondering what your thoughts are on skin bleaching. Like, is it ethical? Should it be legal? Stuff like that.
Oh, I mean, I think people should be able to do whatever the hell they want with their bodies. The reason why this is a popular thing is because culturally, and this is across lots of world cultures, that there is a bias towards people with lighter skin tones, right? And so for some people especially in cultures where darker skin tones are more common, you'll see it's a lot more of a practice where people will try to lighten their skin up sometimes through those methods like that. So that's not great. I don't think that's a good bias to have. Obviously there's racial undertones to that, right, as well. So I don't agree with the practice. I don't think people should do it because they want to get a leg up, but I don't think it should be illegal. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell people what to do with their bodies. I don't know. What do you think, Thinker?
I don't know much about skin bleaching. I fucking love my skin. But I heard that it causes health issues.
Yeah.
That it can be very dangerous. But I do think that people should be allowed to do whatever they want with their skin. I find it kind of hypocritical that this is not something that Christians are pitching a fit about, considering, they pitch a fit about a specific, group of people, saying that, oh, God created you the way that you were and you shouldn't be able to change it, but sell bleach to bleach your skin.
Yeah.
Because God didn't make you light enough. Like, it's hypocritical as hell to me.
That's true.
But yeah,
a lot of Christians in the beauty care, sort of world there, right?
Yeah. And they as they go into other countries, with these standards, I'm pretty sure they're the ones who created the damn product, and the expectation that you need to bleach your skin. So is it ethical? I don't know. I guess for me, I'm not sure yet because of the history behind it and why people do it. I guess if you had like black spots on your face, or like it's okay.
A beauty mark that maybe
Yeah.
makes you uncomfortable or something, right?
Yeah, things like that. But then you got tanning. I don't fucking know. But people should be able to do what they want to do with their skin. But it's the reason that people do it. I think it's the issue. I guess.
Right. There. I mean, let's be real. There's a racial undertone there, right? There is a cultural bias towards people with lighter skin, and that again, it's not just a black or white thing. Like you see that in other cultures as well that just tend to have that bias. Like a lot of anime these days that's out. You know, they don't tend to reflect the same average skin tone of the average Japanese person, right?
Yeah.
They kind of look like white people.
Yep.
So, and there's a reason for that. And it's a marketability thing, right?
Yeah,
and the ones that don't do that, I mean, first of all, I tend to find more interesting personally, but also like, what does that say when the more marketable characters are the whiter looking ones, right? What does it say about our culture and our world culture?
That we have,
right?
Our prefrontal cortex is stunted due to religious ideologies. That's what it means. Like we haven't, we refuse to grow beyond certain beliefs. You know, in order to accept the diversity that we see, you know, nature providing us, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it means.
Yeah. Well, so there's some of our thoughts there. Stephen, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, but I heard something that Thinker said, which was actually my first question, which is tanning any different from skin bleaching? Like, for me, I think skin bleaching is much more racist, and I don't want to be judgmental. And I'm not the ultimate authority on it because I'm white. So, but basically, yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
I do think that it is much more racist, but no, yeah, I do think that, like I mentioned before, it does have the racist history, you know, tied to it. But you know, white people go to tanning beds to darken their skin, to get their skin a darker tone. You know, you have black people or people with melanin, they want to lighten their skin. And so it really is no different. You know, they're still messing with their natural skin, whether it's lightening or darkening it, and they both can cause cancer and be harmful, right? It's just that the other one comes with a racist undertone. Well, racist history, not undertone.
And there's different, again, there's cultural sort of cultural background that you have to take into account for a lot of this too, right? So Ganguro, for example, if you're familiar with this, is an alternative fashion trend in Japan, going back to Japan, where you see this, where we in the West might see that as blackface, right? The way that they darken their skin and how they do that. That's not really how a lot of the folks that actually do that actually interpret that. There's some more alternative history sort of interpretations to why that's the case, and they genuinely see it as a fashion trend. They don't really see it as anything that has to do with race in that sort of capacity. So it's a bit more nuanced, right? Like it's going to depend on where you're at contextually speaking. But there's also a trend in the West, as you mentioned, like the reason why we have tanning beds is because there is also an idea that a sort of olive skin tone for white people is more attractive in some circumstances. And these are just going to be trends that change for the time and place, right? So that's always going to be there. But I am concerned
the olive skin tone. That's the skin tone that white people are aiming for.
Some people. Yeah.
It's olive. Are they trying to be like Jesus because they said his skin was like olive?
I think so. I think it's also just there's an idea that if your skin tone's too white or too, pasty, right, then it looks like you don't get out enough. So if you kind of tan yourself a little bit, it looks like you get out more. I think sometimes it's as simple as that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But like I can't make judgment as to people's individual motivations, right? There's people are going to do it for a million reasons, but all I'm saying is there are definitely bad reasons why people do it, right? Like if someone's saying, I think I'm going to look more beautiful if my skin is lighter, and people will accept me more, like that's not a great mindset, right? Like I don't want that to be the mindset. If this is just like, hey, I like the way this looks, and this is how I feel more comfortable this way, and it makes me happier to do it. Like I'm not gonna care. Like okay, just do what you want, right?
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts there, Stephen. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they could, like, in these other cultures where skin bleaching is the norm, I guess. I wonder if it's too ingrained into like their cultural framework, or if they could like change their minds on it and not care about bleaching their skin anymore. Like, because I guess it must be culture related, because I think people that have that ancestry that are like in America, I don't think they would do that as much. I might be wrong, but yeah, that's what I would say.
I've not really heard of black people bleaching their skin here in America, more so on the continent. But I've seen, on TikTok, several people from the continent campaigning against it and trying to educate people about the harms of it. Also trying to teach people more so about, self-love, like not caring about, what a man thinks about, brown-skinned women, right? Just loving the fact that you are a brown-skinned woman and showing up in that every day. So they're educating more so people won't want to do it. So there is, I think there is a possibility for the culture to change. Like we've changed. Yeah. Slavery used to be America's culture.
Sure. Yeah, there are definitely, I mean, that's just, how do you change world culture? I mean, everybody's asking this, right? Yeah. Like, how do you do this? There's initiatives sometimes governments make to warn people of the facts and maybe dangers and harms of, skin bleaching and other things like that. There's also just going to be normal cultural shifts. As long as we have these identities, though, that these can also be kind of harmful in a sense. So like, white communities don't describe themselves between light skin versus dark skin, for example, whereas in black communities the light skin is a term that's kind of used. Like why is there a history there? Because there's like, there's some background that comes into that. And so like we're even in our own, even in non-white spaces, there's still going to be these categories that are made between people with different skin color. And that's just, it's a hard thing to break. I don't know. I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy that's going to break.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to change. It's always going to be light skin, brown skin.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like, so as long as those distinctions are made, people are going to want to make changes to their skin, right? Yeah. I think maybe that's just the reality. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. But that's all the insight I think I can offer, Stephen. Was there anything else that you want to ask us?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really see much of that in like the African American community. I've seen it more in maybe I don't know, like Pakistan or something, like China, stuff like that. So I mean, I've always been curious about why that is.
Yeah, you cut up there, but I think you were saying you haven't seen people wanting to bleach their skin in black communities in the U.S. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah,
I've not seen it. But you said you said in Asia you've seen it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a big deal in Asia.
Yeah, for sure. Well, anyway, Stephen, that was an interesting call. Thank you for giving us the time to talk about it, and I hope you have a great Valentine's Day and rest of your weekend. Definitely haven't had a conversation about that on here before, but don't know what else to say.
Truth want it.
Yeah, truth want it. That's what's great. I never know what to expect with you guys calling in. Okay, you guys really tell me about anything, but I don't know. Maybe don't bleach your skin every day. Here's the one thing I'll say. Don't do it every day. Okay, that's probably not good for you. How about that? Or every other day.
Do it like how often people go to the tanning bed, I guess. I don't know.
But even tanning bed's not great for your brain. So I can't advise it.
How often do people go to the tanning bed?
I mean, I don't know. I never gone myself. I know I've known people that went at least once a month, and that's probably not good. Yeah, I used to work with a lady that did that, and well, I'll say this: it was not flattering
Oh,
to
really?
her. But that's my opinion.
I've seen some
Whatever.
beautiful tents, though.
No, it's obviously right. There's some
Yeah.
great people that do it great, but like there's some. Okay, here's what I say: there are some skin, was it palettes? Maybe don't work the best with tanning beds. I don't know. Maybe that's what I could say. Complexions.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm biased. What do I fucking know? Anyway, let's just move on here. Before we do though, I just want to give a quick shout out to the crew that help make this show happen every single week. We got to give a shout out because they are the ones who are doing all the work and making stuff happen. There's our crew cam. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much, guys, for doing the show. You guys are amazing for that. And hey, we've got some great callers. Just so you know, if you haven't seen this already, we do have printable call-in flyers that you can post in your community with your community's permission, of course.
Oh, wow.
Okay, don't be posted in places where you shouldn't be posted. But if you want more people to call in, it's a great avenue for you to do that. So we appreciate anybody who does. And if you do, send a picture to us of you posting it because we want to hear about that. And of course, email the show at truth@atheist-community.org. Or you can email the network at tv@atheist-community.org. And of course, see what's going on our website at atheist-community.org. What a shocker. But with that, let's get to this caller here. We got Sven calling in from Washington. Sven is saying he wants to know where I get the confidence that there are secular replacements for religious ideas, religious assumptions. Sven, you're live on Truth Wanted.
Good evening. Yeah, earlier tonight you had mentioned you think you want to throw out the baby in the bathwater, throw it all out. And so I was just interested if you had, as far as I know, most people who are atheists say, there aren't answers for all the religious questions because a lot of them are just additional axioms or assumptions, but they are assumptions that provide comfort. And so are there, as a secular humanist, how confident are you, I guess I should ask from the beginning, that there are secular replacements for all the worries that can come from a materialist or nominalist worldview?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm a volunteer with the Atheist Community of Austin. So here we're one example of that. But if everybody were Unitarian Universalists, I probably wouldn't. I don't know if the ACA would exist, right? Because it's like if everybody just was kind of chill and had that vibe, and we're just the world was hunky dory, there wouldn't be as much motivation to do activism in some sense. But the truth is they represent a small minority, and even though Unitarian Universalists have been around for decades, they still continue to be a small minority. It doesn't seem like that's what people are going to religion for. Some of them, sure, and some of them do find guidance and hope and strength in those communities, and more power to them for that. But the bad guys seem to be in power for the rest of us, right? And they seem to follow the worst kinds of religion, the most authoritarian, the most thought preventing, right? The ones that keep your critical thinking from being able to expand and explore. So I don't know if there's a one size fits all for everybody. Okay, I'm not saying that everybody has to be an atheist. Everybody has to, have that label for themselves and think that way. I do think that we have to be able to have the tools to escape those constructs in order to figure out what it means to live our lives in a way that's going to be divorced from something that's a higher power telling us what to do all the time, or having differences between each other because some higher power or some guy in a church says so, right? That's obviously never going to be the answer for me. But I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. Maybe Thinker, do you agree with that, or concur rather?
No, yeah, I definitely concur. I wanted to ask, when you say replace the worries that people have, that they give them peace right now, like, are you talking about, like, who would they pray to, when they have a loved one in the hospital on the brink of death, or is that what you're saying?
Are you asking me or are you asking Sven?
Sven.
Okay, yes,
There's
Sven.
a lot of tools. That's why I kind of just generalized it. I mean, there's definitely that's one of them. I would say the worry of an afterlife, like if we're going to be finitely died, if people are going to be leaving. I would say the problem of morality, the problem of evil. Like I know there is atheists or nominalists that are moral realists, so it wouldn't be a problem with them. But most materialists aren't moral realists, so that would be an issue for them. So we could talk about that. I think there's a lot of axioms that religion answers that materialism, nominalism can't.
I would say that there's a lot of answers that religion gives the appearance of answering, right? I don't know if it actually answers it, but sure. But Thinker, you look like you were going to say something.
No, I just wanted to say the same thing about when you say the afterlife. Like nobody really has an answer for the afterlife.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we don't really know for sure, right?
Nobody
But
has something that we call a correct answer, but plenty of people throughout history and today have an answer for you if you ask that question.
I'm sorry,
sure,
say that again. What did you say?
he's saying that no, we may not have a correct answer, but a lot of people have answers to it throughout history.
They've
right.
made them up, so just make up your own.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna fact check you on that?
Yeah.
You make up
It's
our
true.
answers, and then
Yeah,
we
so-
correct them later on.
You don't know who's verified the afterlife.
Nobody claims it's an empirical answer. It's a
Well, some
Hey,
Christians
well-
do, but yeah, go ahead.
not a science question. Oh,
Right,
thank you,
but
Dan.
your question is like, what is a replacement for that? Make up your own afterlife. Who's gonna tell you that you're wrong?
Well, that's why I'm asking, how confident are you that there are secular replacements for it? That wouldn't be a secular replacement for it.
Why wouldn't it be? Like, you don't have to have a God in an
Would there
afterlife.
be a secular?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be wrong. Is there a secular concept of the afterlife, Dan, that or thinker that I'm unaware of?
Yeah, it's called we die and that's it. You know, I mean, like, I don't know that for sure. I can't say with 100% certainty. I haven't been dead yet, but I don't have a reason to think I am going to go on. Maybe that doesn't give people joy, but it gives people peace, right? It can give people a sense of, hey, okay, that's it. Acceptance. Maybe that's more important.
And comfort
Right.
requirements for social species.
Is it? I'm still here. It's not required for me. It's not required for Thinker.
I have no desire to live
So
forever.
you think you guys are the rules, not the exceptions.
Now, who
What are
said
you
that?
saying?
Like,
What do you
who said
mean?
that?
Asking where you get this confidence. If most of the world is,
I just know what I want. Like, I have no desire to live for eternity. Like if I asked you right now,
that's fine.
say that again.
Can you explain your point, Sven? I'm not sure I understand.
Which point? I started thinking about eternity because I thought we were
Yeah.
shifting the topic.
Well, let's refocus, because you were saying we think that we're the exception and everybody else has the answers. Like, what do you mean by that? I'm confused. What's your criticism?
You said that you get by perfectly fine without these axioms, and Thinker gets by perfectly fine without these axioms. So I'm asking, do you guys think you are the rule and not the
Okay.
exception?
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. So that's an interesting point.
Spiritual, and that's the rule. Is that? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay, that's a great question. Is it going to work for everybody? Probably not. No, I don't think so. I don't think psychologically everybody's going to be able to accept that. But that's just the reality that we live in. That doesn't change the truth, right? There may be some people that can't psychologically accept that the Earth is round. That doesn't mean that the Earth isn't round, right? So, like, you know, other people's psychological acceptance.
Would it be best not to let that person live in an existence where they believe the world is flat? As a
I think it's best to give people the truth whenever you can. It's not my responsibility whether people can accept that or not, right?
Whenever you can. You added an additional there.
Yeah, of
So I'm
course,
saying
because I
that
can't
appropriate
imagine.
time
I'm not the
going
thought
to
police. I can't make
life.
people believe something they don't want to believe, right?
Right.
So I'm just going to do what I can. For people who can accept it and who can say, okay, yeah, this afterlife stuff isn't real. Yeah, absolutely.
especially if they ask me what I think about it. Like,
Yeah.
there's no point in me lying. Like, I know for a fact that nobody here knows whether
Right.
there's an afterlife.
And the Christians, they have no problem telling me, yeah, there is, right? They have no, they're not thinking like you are, Sven, where they're like, oh, well, maybe he can't psychologically accept that there's a heaven, right? They're going to tell me anyway. So why not me tell them, hey, I don't think that's true, actually.
Because I would think you have a different worldview than the Christian. You identify as a secular humanist. Aren't you trying to be more better?
Of course. How am I not being better?
Because you're saying that they can tell you whether you can psychologically handle it or not. You should know that if they cannot psychologically handle it and it is going to cause chaos among their life, that would be better for you to not shove that in their face.
Are you telling us to hide?
Yeah.
If they ask us, you're saying that we should hide because they can't psychologically handle the question or the statement they asked for?
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Should we just pretend like we're not who we are? Or that we don't think what we do?
No, but I'm just talking about in the way that you set up society. I guess now I'm leaning more towards anti-theism than just general atheism, but...
Well, society, I mean, there are secular governments, right? Like, most of the world's governments are secular, and there are even countries that are more secular than not in their general population. So I don't know why this requirement is necessary that people have to have a religion in order to be successful as a society. I don't think that seems to be the case.
No, I'm not trying to say it's required for everyone. I'm talking about certain tools. That's why I asked your confidence that your tools can be replaced for everyone, because you said you want to throw out the entire baby and the bathwater, throw it all out. Whereas if I'm saying that if these are useful tools to even 1% of the population, why do you think it's worthy of throwing it out when it's...
Okay, well, let me give you an example for that, Sven. Let's say this, right? By this logic that you're giving out, right? Like, let's say I'm a climate scientist and I'm saying, hey, climate change is real, right? And there's some people that are never going to accept that. And what if you told me, well, I don't think you should talk to other people about this because I don't think people can accept that as a worldview because they're going to have to make radical changes to their life in order to adapt to that. And so, what makes you better than the people that deny climate change? Maybe we need to give space and give tools to those who deny climate change, right? Would you think that that's absurd?
Certainly, and I don't think that was my point. I'm not saying you're not welcome to your tools. I'm asking, again, how you think your tools can be applied to everyone, how confident you are for that, and what data you get from that confidence. Because from what
I've already kind of answered this, right? So there
are the exception, not the rule.
So you're making a very broad generalization, first of all. There are a lot of people that are secular and not necessarily nihilist. Okay, so that's a different thing that you're talking about. And my evidence is that we are the most secular in the world right now than we have ever been in any point in time in human history. And coincidentally, we are also the most technologically advanced. We are also the most scientifically advanced. We're also all these other things, right? Maybe not globally, right? It's in different parts. Not saying it's even, but I'm saying the countries that have developed the most for themselves socially, seriously, that have social safety nets, that have the best for their citizens, are the ones who are also the most secular. That is that. If that's not evidence for you, I don't know what is.
Well, I don't know if technology is a great example of that, because this is just how anti-theists are just children of the Enlightenment Christians. Like, you kind of force that technology on a lot of places that then became secular after they had the tools. And then we judge countries who aren't necessarily caught up to us within technology. So I don't know if you can say causation is like secularism caused the technology to get where it is. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that.
Is it? Well, I think that might be a bias in some ways. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Is that true for the development of China, for example? China is now one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world. It was not that just decades ago, right? And still predominantly much more secular than other places, right? And you see this across other non-Western nations as well. I don't know how confident you are in your thesis there, because I'm not just a child of the Enlightenment either. I think there's some other forces you might not be accounting for.
Well, China was atheist throughout most of they didn't have to worry about a religious imperialism going on them. Their dynasties went through much more than just what the West went through. Again, like
yes.
causation would not account for the same that happened with the dynasties.
Are they not a society? Do they not exist? Like, what's wrong with them?
Sure, if you want us to say society is just one thing, I think that's minimizing it, but
okay, but you're saying that society can't handle it. We have to have religion, and we just talked about a very famous and long-lasting society, that being China, that has been had a history of secularism that's been much longer than the West has ever had. So am I not demonstrating what more do I have to do to prove my point that we don't actually need religion as a foundation to society?
I guess I wouldn't say we need it as a foundation of society. I apologize. That was my point. My point was that it's a tool for some people, not for a societal rule at all. I'm not a dogmatic theist with a certain book that people should follow. By any means, but I don't think that we should claim to have metaphysical answers between the dualist and nominalist worldviews when there is such a lifeline that is required from or that is given to the dualist worldview. Like, it answers so many emotional and psychological questions for people that I don't think the nominalist has answers to yet. And that's why I was just asking where your confidence is. But yes, maybe I will have to look into more of how the dynasties evolved without it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's a very, like, all that. I wish you talked about all that at the end there about nominalism and stuff at the very beginning, because then we could have had a more clear conversation, because I really wasn't sure where we were going here. And I'm dominating the conversation here. I do want to let you go because we're getting close to the end of the show here. But Thinker, did you have anything you want to add to this conversation?
No.
Okay.
It was an interesting conversation.
Yeah, this was. I do want to talk to you more,
Thank you, Dan.
Sven. Thanks for calling. Really, I sincerely really appreciate it. We'll go ahead and let you go now, and I hope to hear from you again soon. But folks, it is about that time. We are getting close to the end of today's broadcast. I want to give a very special thanks to Thinker for being on today's show. Thinker, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun. I hope that I can come back.
Yeah, we have some great calls, I think, still in the queue. I really wish we could get to more of you, but Thinker did say that they are going to be in our after show today. So if you want to hang out on the after show, stick around, go to the link. The link is at tiny.cc/ACD Discord, and you can check that out and come hang out with us. On that note, I need to give a special thanks to Kelly for being our backup host for today. Kelly, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for letting me. And don't let me cry for my birthday. Get a few more super chats in there before the end of the show.
Yeah, come on. Also, don't let other people tell me what to do. That's kind of embarrassing. We do have some super chats that I need to read. One of them is from Miranda Rensberg, who gave $5 and said, "Happy birthday, Kelly. Don't become an adult. It's not worth it," which is a good answer. Good advice. Another one from Uncle Freaky, who gave $5 and said, "I just turned 65 on the 11th. Happy birthday, bro." So happy birthday to you too, Uncle Freaky and Kelly. You guys, have that in common. So that's great. Last one here is from, actually we got two more, a $4.99 from Garrison. Thank you so much for that. And then a $4.99 from Garger as well. So thank you guys so much for those super chats. And really appreciate all you guys supporting the show. Before we leave, and I have to remind you guys, the prompt for this week is, what do you most want to hear about the other side or the great beyond? So leave your comment below to answer that prompt. And with that being said, I like to ask Thinker, my guests, to give a words of wisdom before we leave the show. Do you have any words of wisdom before we sign off?
You better ask me to give the last words in benediction.
Oh, that too. I mean, you can do it if you want.
Father God, no, I'm joking. Words of wisdom. I would say, like, if you are thinking about deconstructing, allow yourself to question. Just ask a fucking question.
Ask a fucking question. I like that. That's really cool. Ask a fucking question.
Yeah.
Do that for Valentine's Day today. You know, go to your loved one and ask them a fucking question.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, folks, this has been a great episode of Truth Wanted. I'm your host, Objectively Dan. Remember to always keep wanting the truth, and I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Watch the non-profits and join the hosts in the live chat. Visit tiny.cc/ytnp.